What about now? Should be working through the computer. I need hearing aids bad. That is so. Let me try this. So weird. Is it working now? Now it's working. Still? What about now? My buddy said it's okay. God, it's so weird. Okay, I'll go with it this way. So there's Jerome holding a copy of my book, and there's Sharon. I don't know if Sharon's on or not because it's so late there, but I did a show with them the other day. It was a lot of fun over on Jerome's French Wrecking Crew. Always good doing a show with two of my favorite people across the pond, being these two. So, Sharon, if you watch this later, tell Jerome I gave him a shout out. I think Jerome's probably not up right now, but Buddy says it's good. Thanks, Buddy. So, I wanted to read some of the mail going back, and this is from Jennifer Mushnick, and she said, I've heard a theory that Brian Schaefer was involved in sensitive covert biological research and was possibly disappeared into a black ops operation. I believe George from CAVDEF commented on this in one of his valuable interviews. I'll try to find which one and follow up in the comments. So, yeah, Jennifer, if you have that, definitely follow up. I want to know more about that for sure. And I've heard that Clint Florence was into some pretty high up, biological type research, and maybe they had something to do with the COVID vaccines or something, or he did, because I know that's the field he went into. I mean, of course, Clint Florence and Brian Shaver were both med students at Ohio State, and I know that Clint Florence went into this really heavy end, high up research end of medicine. So, that's who knows. I mean, that's one of the theories out there. Let me go to the next one here on this one. Sharon, just talked about you. Thanks for that. Dustin J, loving your channel and your take on the Zodiac killer, which you are 100% correct on. Appreciate that, Dustin. Always good to have confirmation on that. Check out the disappearance of baby Lisa Irwin. It's absolutely bizarre with a private investigator named Wild Bill and a very large reward from a mystery person, a guy with a baby walking around in the winter in gypsies. That has everything that I'm looking for, Dustin. So I told him I would definitely check that out. Hey, Nat. And I don't know. That one sounds good, but I told Dustin I was going to check into that. So I try to reply to everybody when I can. And then Todd K says, I am boycotting Subway now. I hate victimizing elderly. Great channel, Drew. Thanks, Todd. I know you've been around a long time. And I think my dad got actually scammed 8 times by Subway. And he even showed me a picture of his credit card statement. And of course, when he went back to Subway with said credit card statement in hand, they quickly refunded his money. And some other manager there said, well, we can't do cash back anymore, or something or to that effect, that they couldn't do cash back anymore. Yeah, they wanted him to go quietly and not bring it up again. So, of course, I put the whole story on Yelp under that particular Subway store about them scamming my dad just for going in there and buying a sandwich and his favorite 2 cookies and rolling up $34 a visit. So something wasn't right at Subway in Memorial City in Houston. So I definitely have that splattered on their Yelp page. And I usually wouldn't ever put something bad on Yelp, but come on, they're scamming old people out of money. I mean, that's just low down, totally lame. And then Chad says here, we're talking about Brian Schaefer again and the weird things he does with his hands. Chad says the hand symbol gestures are definitely college fraternity related. I don't know if Brian Schaefer was in a fraternity. I couldn't find that he ever was. I mean, of course, he looks like the type of guy that would have been. He looks like a frat guy. So does Clint, but those guys met as roommates as their undergrad at Ohio State. I don't know if Brian was in a fraternity, but I know somebody that would. But from what I recall, the fraternities didn't have, I mean, they have handshakes, kind of like the Freemasons, but they don't, I don't know if they have I've never heard of them having hand signals like that. So I don't know. That's kind of weird. And even if you were, why are you going to throw up the signals with your mom and dad and you just, got some upper level of promotion in med school? So that's really weird. Yes, Patty, I'm going to read yours. Dear Drew, I love your books and channel. You are a great researcher and author. Sincerely, Patty. Thank you, Patty. You've been around a long time. And, ever since 1967, Patty, you've been roaming the woods somewhere west of Sacramento, if I recall. So I am a believer in yours, and you are real. But I really appreciate that. No, you have been around for a long, long time. So those are good theories there on Brian Schaefer. So let me move on to the next one. I don't know. And this has the old chat on it. So this is back on the missing persons case of Keith Roberson. And it says, this is from Nixon Bogain. That's a good name. Hi, Drew. I know that area very well, including having flown in small aircraft. You are correct about the desolation. It is fairly high desert with the systems of mesas and small creek gulch. You can see the desert floor easily from small aircraft. Drones, not at all like a forested area. The fact of the severity of the car crash suggests he must have hitched out of there somehow if he got to Odessa. He sure didn't walk there from Sonora. I would not hitchhike out of there at night for any amount of money. No, one more thing. The amount of feral hogs, easily 500 pounds, ask a rancher, mountain lions, and coyotes are no joke either. So, yeah, that's interesting. What happened to this guy, Keith Roberson? I mean, he was out there where it was just desolate but flat. And I don't know, where's he going to go? I mean, that was just crazy. It's not like you're in the deep mountains or something where you could be in a crevice or something like that. But I don't know if those feral hogs, I mean, there would still be something left if those guys got a hold of them. I know people go hunt those feral hogs in helicopters and stuff like that. And then Todd said, the scariest killers are ones that can dig a deep hole and hide in it. If they can do it at their house in a neighborhood, like some famous cases, it's scary to realize what a vast wilderness area can hide. That's true. That's probably why there's so much really weird stuff going on in there. And then Eric Thompson said, I agree with you. The vast majority of cases are hiker or climber error resulting in death. And he's told me this before. However, I also agree that a very small number of these cases can happen due to unexplained reasons, and we don't understand everything about our world. A case that fascinates me is the 14 National Forest Service workers in Southwest Washington who witnessed a UFO take a cow elk. You can't get 14 people to agree about anything, let alone a UFO taking an elk. That is awesome, Eric. I love stories like that. That is, I got to look that up. Someone remind me to look up this story that Eric's talking about the 14 national forest workers in Southwest Washington and the UFO taking an elk, because that's it goes along those cattle harvests and stuff. Actually, they said some of those cattle mutilations happened on the Tina Bar where the DB Cooper money was found by Brian Ingram. So I'm going to look up accounts of that too. I'll need to ask Nikki. I don't know if Nikki's on. I think we talked about that before. I think I talked about that or asked Nikki about that because he would know better than I would if that happened. I know I heard that there were cattle mutilations that happened on the Tina Bar area where the DB Cooper money was found. But yeah, that story about the 14 people and the seeing a UFO take an elk. I mean, that is stunning. Uh, I'm checking that out. That's gonna be an episode. I'll try to get back on the usual Monday thing. I know I missed yesterday because of work, but that one's gonna be on the list. I'm glad I read that. See, that's the benefit of the viewer mail shows. It says, yeah, now it says UFO taking elk. Holy hell, that would be crazy. Yeah, that's what he says. 14 people saw this UFO taking an elk. Man, and there's another story about UFO taking. It wasn't cattle, and it was some other thing like an elk, and it was over in somewhere in Africa or something where they're finding these like a lot, and then they're mutilated. These animals are mutilated, then they're dropped in another area, kind of like a few miles away. It's weird. Like whatever's transporting the animals has to be something like a UFO because there's no other explanation of how. I mean, there would like be a herd in one area, and a bunch of these animals, whatever they were, would get mutilated, like just like the cattle's do with the surgical looking. No blood and guts really. It just looks like it was done in a perfect surgical atmosphere where everything's taken out almost like laser like precision, have their guts removed and then dropped in another area. Is just some of this stuff, and I'll try to find that too. But Eric, that is an awesome story. I don't know how I missed that one because I try to listen to every kind of channel on YouTube that talks about that kind of stuff, so maybe we'll be the first, hopefully. And then classic Chevy Cat, I just call her Cat, says not familiar with the crashed cars and missing men in Texas. My curiosity is where the cars messed with before the accident. That's a good question, Kat. Do the police check for that? I'm not sure they would unless they are convinced it's a crime. That's a good observation there, Kat. Steve says great show. Thanks, Steve. Steve watches all the time. Man, I'm definitely got to check out the 14 guys now. So we'll move on. This is the other video that was for about the portals. That's definitely one of my favorite subjects. Okay, Danny Gray said, I wonder whether time slips. This is one of he just posted this 12 hours ago. Danny said, I wonder whether time slips could be another explanation for some of these disappearances. I once had a very strange experience here in the north of England back in 1999 regarding what I'm convinced was a time slip because I was definitely in the past during the experience. It was really weird and very difficult to explain. Wow. I want to know more about that, Danny. Those are the stories I absolutely love, man. Somebody that had a missing time or a time slip. Those are great. I would love to experience that. That is bizarre, but I do think they happen. I don't know what they are. I don't know if it's some kind of. It sounds like a portal. Like it's just another gateway to another dimension. I'll have to get with Solaris Blue Raven on that. I'm sure she could help answer that. I want to get her on the show, by the way. Solaris could get totally into the multiverse. And he said, do you hear about the lady who saved the animal in Pennsylvania that they couldn't identify? Wow. No, I didn't hear about that. Was it like a chupacabra or something? So obviously, is the animal still alive? The Christ Hindu. I love these live series, Drew. Please do more missing 411 cases. It's so fascinating. Great job as usual. Thanks, Christ. You've been following me for a long, long time. The early Zodiac days. Ivan says, I like Paulides' story too. They are intriguing, good stuff. Looking forward to your in-depth analysis of some of these kinds of cases. Yeah, definitely going to do more. Professor Stewart, always good to hear from you. It's rare these days to get a genuinely perplexing mystery with no clear answers. Usually we can at least begin to travel down some possible paths to a solution, but with the missing 411 material, it's delightfully baffling. That's what it is. It's delightfully baffling. I know some people are not big fans of David Paulides, and because he doesn't really go out and do his own, participate in these searches or whatever, and he's made an industry out of the missing 411 that he coined. But it's entertainment, and it's some of these you just can't explain. I mean, you can't. I know that the vast majority of them probably got stuck in a crack somewhere and just never found again. But there's certain ones that I always go back to. Of course, I beat Terrence Woods to death. I mean, that one's there's no explanation for what happened to Terrence Woods unless a car picked him up, which would be so bizarre if even that happened. But that one and George Pinka is a good one. God, there's a lot that are hard to explain. I mean, some of them you can. I mean, every time they talk about these missing 411 and the hikers, they always say how experienced they are and stuff like that. And yet, they go missing. But it's always when they get separated. And then how do you explain the ones where they find the bodies in places that were already searched? I mean, that's not coming from Paulides. That's in a lot of the police reports. So I don't know how he gets around that. I really don't. No, I didn't. I got to do that, Pixie. I got to look into the Amazon review killer. I just thought about that yesterday after getting some shitty review on a book. No, I got to do that. I got it on my list. I just got slammed at work, but keep reminding. I know I will. I'll definitely do the Amazon review killer. It's probably someone that wrote a book and they didn't like the reviews. I'm still trying to get used to that. Yeah, he does deserve millions for coming up with the great name Missing 411. That is great. That is his idea because he's got another channel now off of his main one, or a bunch of his live feeds are on another YouTube channel. Maybe because he got that warning on his other ones. I can't remember. He had like 500 subscribers in like a few weeks, so that was kind of odd. So I think he's might be funneling some of his content to another channel just in case. I've heard people do that before. One of those strange guys. So this guy's name was Ted Colehep. Oh, you work with him after the mass murder, but before the serial killings. That's crazy. That's could be a good story that needs a book. What are O parts, Nat? Oh, out of place artifacts. There are some weird ones that make no sense with our supposed historical timeline. Yeah, there's what about that one that looks like the little flying saucer thing that's like ancient Aztec stuff? Douglas Peterson has a parallel universe in D.B. Cooper plot in Bloodless. Oh, I didn't know that. Any D.B. Cooper plot should have involved Ted Braden. I really liked the few original Missing 411 videos where he goes to Australia and all over. That's where he got hurt. I think he hurt his leg when he was over there. I don't enjoy his new stuff as much. Yeah, I think a lot of the cases now have been out for a while. There's some new ones that these guys cover, like Steve Stockton, and I like Brian's Mysteries on Trail. If you haven't seen that channel, like I don't know how he's able to get those videos up. He almost gets one up a day. I mean, their video, they're edited and stuff. I don't know how that guy does it. But I like his stuff. It's pretty good. So I'm doing Paranormal Zone TV Thursday. I need to put a link in there. Lisa, Lisa, you're like a hyper focused. Hi, Mal Cody. Lisa's hyper focused on Ted Braden. You're making you know more about Ted Braden than I do at this point, Lisa. And that's a lot. But you keep forwarding the ball, which is fitting in this case because you know what Ted Braden's code name was in Vietnam. Touchdown. So you're making some touchdowns with Ted Braden. They found Bell's potteries and an iron smelting pot in coal that's millions of years old. Many models of airplanes. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That little airplane that was like some kind of Aztec thing or something like that. See my shirt? Anybody know why I would wear a UC Davis shirt? Even though it's really for February. Taxation beat theft. Hello. From New York. Yeah, I want to look into some of that stuff. I didn't know they had a name for that, for the airplanes, but that's really cool. Okay, I wanted to read this one for sure. This is from Holiday Home Projections. That sounds pretty cool. Drew, I have given information to many people regarding David Paulides and his claims regarding his past law enforcement career. Before you head down this slippery slope of believing everything this man says, you need to research on the internet his background. I'm sure you are a fantastic investigator of facts, so check it out. I will give you a few things. I used to work with DP. He is less than honest and was let go from the San Jose Police Department for using the hold on, I don't want to screw this up, for using the color of authority to obtain autographs and other celebrity items. He would tell them that he was doing this on the behalf of the San Jose Police Department. He was never a member of a SWAT team, nor was he a detective. He was assigned to the courts as a bailiff. He was forced to resign in lieu of a termination. Fact check this and dig there is more. He never talks about the cases that has been solved. That's true. And I've seen somebody, I mentioned that one video. So yeah, and I responded to him and said, no, I definitely don't believe everything he puts out, or I wouldn't have talked about that one YouTube channel that debunked the guy that went missing in the what was that set of mount the crazies the crazies mountains that he did in one of the two documentaries. And so no, I don't believe everything he puts out. And I heard a lot of that, some of that stuff before, where it was called into question his law enforcement career or whatever. I got if I wish I knew what years he was. No, he was probably, just judging by his age now, maybe that was in the 70s when he was at San Jose Police Department. Because I didn't know that a MACB-SOG member, a guy named James Shorten, his nickname in Vietnam was a wild carrot. I'm friends with him on Facebook and talk with him a little bit. He's just another MACB-SOG legend. He didn't know Ted Braden. He came later, but he was a member of the San Jose Police Department. But I don't know if he probably would have been earlier than Paulides. But yeah, I want to check that out. I mean, I like the guy, but if he's out there not telling the truth about his background just for making a few bucks, that's not right. That's crazy. He shouldn't be doing that. So now that I write fiction, I don't care if it's true. I just care if it's entertaining. I don't think people should BS about real cases, though. Let's hope DP isn't like that. He seems like a nice guy. Tragically, his son committed suicide not long ago because he just, he was bipolar. It's just really tragic, and he tried everything he could to help him. And with all the COVID shutdowns and everything like that, and he couldn't go to his religious gatherings and stuff, and it really had an effect on the guy. So I mean, that's terrible. And I mean, I feel for the guy. His son committed suicide. He's not making that up. I can tell you that. So I don't want to be too hard on the guy, but some of that stuff does need to be looked at a little more. But the cases are there. I mean, a lot of these yeah, it's a terrible tragedy. The cases are there, so he just got tipped off and was the first person to popularize it. But those cases were out there, like Dennis Martin. That case has been known about, and that's one of the ones he started with, and that's been a mystery since he went missing in 1969. I mean, I was born in '69, so David Paulides didn't create the Dennis Martin case or any of them. These people did go missing. If you look them up, George Pinka, any of these, and you have to just go study the cases one by one. I mean, he briefly covered Terrence Woods. I probably got into Terrence Woods more than anybody with that video I did and some of the stuff I found out that was just there for the taking, and he briefly went over it. Or the Yuba County Five, he covered that on his channel, but that's 5 guys going missing. I know far more about the Yuba County Five than David Paulides, and that's why I'm wearing this shirt. This is the Yuba County Five's favorite team, UC Davis Aggies, in February will be the month of the Yuba County Five. But yeah, I know that case better than anybody except for Tony Doug Wright, and he, it's hard to beat Tony on Yuba County Five. Tony just knows every angle. But what happened to them? I mean, I know that case applies has nothing to do with that case, and that one is a huge mystery that has not been solved to this day. So he's saying you're not brave enough to write about true crime. I don't think I am either, Nat. I don't know why I do it, because it's kind of wild. You never know what could happen, or or how you're going to affect people by doing it. You can't see the shirt. Should be up there. Okay, now try this. You see it now? Let's see if my daughter says that. Calls me booby man. Go Aggies. See? Yes, I'm glad she is feeling better. How can I get rid of that thing? Jerome can never do that. Fiction's hard. I've definitely written some fiction. I mean, fiction is harder than real stuff. You can sort of see it, yeah, because it's probably all faded and weird, because it doesn't show me what it looks like back at me. Go Aggies for the 5. Let me get back here. So no, I do want to look that up though. What he's saying. I mean, if he was never a police officer at all, then that's bad. Kind of reminds me of Bob Lazar. I mean, some stuff that Bob Lazar says is probably true, but he lied about where he went to college. He lied about going to MIT. There's no way he went to MIT, because there would be a record of that. No way the guy's so covert they're just going to wipe out everything about him. Of course, they did do that to Ted Braden, didn't they? Can't find out much. They even took Braden off of Wikipedia because they're so scared of Ted Braden. Why are you so afraid he died? They're still scared of Ted Braden. Jacob says they cluster around national parks because that's where people go. It would be more strange if some random forest had a lot of missing people. They say Yosemite does, but Yosemite's pretty big. It's a cool story, but sounds just like something Art Bell would have had on back in the day. And there's a problem with that. Art Bell's the greatest thing that ever hit radio. It's entertainment. That's what we're saying. It is entertainment, but I think some of them are definitely mysterious, and some of them don't have explanations. They just don't. I mean, Paulides cannot go create the police file. So he says even survivalist types can make a mistake in the woods that can get them killed. That's true. I agree with it. He says, I bet some of them are due to overconfidence. That's probably true, because every time they talk about these missing hikers and stuff, they always make the comment of how advanced they are, how experienced they are at hiking. And they're the one, they always go missing. So they're that experienced. Why are they no longer around? I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. And Eric says, but David Paulides says 411 is entertainment. That's true. It is. It is creepypasta, not an actual investigation. The Yuba County 5 is an investigation. I mean, we want to know what happened to those guys. So I will make that case stand apart. It is an investigation 40 years later to find out what happened to those guys. But yeah, Paulides just, they roll out one after another, but those cases are there. I mean, how many, it says thousands of cases, but how many is DP solved? 0 that I know of. Yeah, I agree with you, Eric. What kind of investigation is that? I mean, he is bringing a lot of attention to him, but, I wouldn't say near solved. Like what happened to that Dior kid? The one they did the David Paulides movie on, that was the first one. Not the Hunted. That was the second one, Missing 411, the Hunted. But the first one, I think that's the one that had that child, Dior. They think the parents were involved. They thought the grandpa was watching them, and then the grandpa thought the parents were watching him, and then he goes missing. It's I don't know. I think they suspect the parents in that, which is just, how can you? I mean, it's just hard to even fathom that, how parents could be responsible for the disappearance of a small child. I mean, it's just, that's scary. Playtime, eerie stories. But before I look to a supernatural reasons, there are many cases of coyote dog hybrids and other animals nipping at people lost in the wilderness as they wander aimlessly to their deaths, or they gradually lose the ability to fend off the horseflies or other insects, and the cold nights deplete them until they just give up and die. Their bodies and clothes quickly decay, and the bones are separated by all the various animals. But the government explanation seems like a viable course for research. It has been proven to be the reason in some cases. I think it's to cover for their various military experiments, but they'll never tell us the truth. So who knows? Playtime, I always like that stuff you come up with from out of nowhere. And that reminds me of God, where was it? Mariposa County, California, where that whole family wound up dead, and they did the autopsies. I don't know if they tried to say it was the some of the vegetation that gave off the weird stuff that killed them all, but it killed the baby, the mom and dad, and the dog. I mean, somebody explain that to me if that wasn't some government deal. That's insanity. How does that whole family, the parents, the child, the baby, pretty young, I think the child was like a 1 or something, pretty young baby, and the dog all died in the same little small area on a hiking trail that wasn't really far from where they lived. I still have not seen an explanation for that. That's insanity. Yeah, Chad Daybell and that crazy woman. Yeah, that's true. That one's worth doing a show on for sure. But yeah, that is crazy. Chris says Google disappearances in Idlewild, California. Very alarming. Very alarming number of people have just vanished up there in those mountains in the last couple of years. And then I said, I will. And he said, there are a few videos from news sources as well as private citizens on YouTube about all the folks who have just disappeared up in Idlewild over the last 2.5 years. Around 20 to 30 people. Man, that is insanity. I'm finding out more of this stuff for the first time. Talk to Suffer says, check out a channel called Bob Gimlin. Don't worry, it's not the older guy from the Bigfoot film, although he does talk Bigfoot. Check out MK Davis for Bigfoot film analysis. I saw a really good analysis of the Patterson Gimlin film, and I'm a believer. I'm a total believer. Did you watch is it Hellier or listen to the Penny Roll podcast? No. I got to check that out too. There's so many things on my list. So many good things out there. Well, those are great comments. Nah, Vegas heat stroke is very real. Yeah, there's a lot of them out in the desert in places like whatever that park is. Oh yeah, it gets that hot here too in Houston. And then I want to read some of these just because I'll be on foot because I'm wearing my shirt. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I did want to read something from Tony. Tony, I did tell you how to read this, didn't I? Oh, I definitely have a new video up on Subscribestar, a new Zodiac video about Fortran. If there's any Zodiacers on board, you definitely want to check that out because I doubt, I know that Dave Aranchek subscribes to the channel, but I don't know if you'd watch the non-Zodiac stuff, Dave, but if you do, I want your opinion on if the Zodiac killer could have used the computer program Fortran to create the 408 or the 340 ciphers. I just would be really interested in your opinion on that. And I'll definitely go with his opinion because he is the expert along with Jarl Van Eck and Sam Blake. But that's what that video is about. It's about the Zodiac killer and Fortran. And Ross made a comment on there on Subscribestar. Like he's convinced now after seeing the video that the Zodiac knew Fortran, and that would be huge because not many people knew that program in the early 70s, even though it was made in the mid 50s. Just wasn't, most people didn't know how to use it, would have reason to be using Fortran in the early 1970s, late 1960s. And a lot of those misspelled words in the Zodiac ciphers, they're Fortran commands. They have to be. I mean, I cannot see those randomly landing on Fortran commands. And I'm not a computer guy, and I'm definitely not the Zodiac cipher guy, although my name is in the 408. I don't know, Dave, if you're listening, it'd be an honor. And let me know your opinion on that. If any of the Zodiac ciphers could have been created using Fortran, because definitely, I know at one point he said it was done with pencil and paper, but as I think it's something that I would like him to look into and either say one way or the other if he could have used Fortran to do the Zodiac ciphers, because that's what that's about over on Subscribestar on the Sodcast. Definitely worth looking into. Because Ross is on board, and that's all that matters. Okay, Tony. Wow, Tony, you've been doing some incredible research, man. He says he sent this email to the Phoenix Police today. He said this is a long shot, but Sonoma County in California has a Jane Doe that died around 1975. She fit the general description of Alicia Renee Manning, who went missing in Arizona in 1975. The connection I am making starts with Stephen Morin's, hoping I'm saying that right, murder victim, Deborah Carrick. Her body was found September 9th, 1975, off Highway 64 between Cameron and Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona. It was estimated she was dead about 3 weeks. Before Deborah's body was found in Arizona, but after she went missing, her belongings were found on August 26 in Santa Rosa in a white nylon like bag. They were found in the Mark Springs West area where the remains of 4 young women have been found. Sonoma County's Jane Doe was found around there also. Mornin's ID was found near Carrick's body, and Carrick's belongings were found near the Sonoma's Jane Doe, which we talked about before when we were talking about the Santa Rosa hitchhiker murders. I think the Sonoma Jane Doe is connected to Carrick's murder. As I said, it's just a theory, but Sonoma has dental records that can be compared to Manning's. If it isn't Manning, I will look at other states. Mornin was known to travel all over the country, especially the West. Tony Dinelli. Wow, that's good stuff, Tony, man. You know the Santa Rosa stuff better than anybody. And I don't know. We've got to parse all that out because that stuff is huge. I don't know if Santa Rosa is connected to Zodiac or not, but the Santa Rosa stuff alone, I mean, that's definitely a group of people in Santa Rosa hitchhiker slayings that have probably connections everywhere. I mean, that could even tie back into Manny Grossman's Son of Stam cult stuff. I mean, just so many murders that look like they're involved with a group and the Process Church and all that kind of stuff. That would be an easier tie-in than Zodiac, in my opinion, because to me the Zodiac is a massive masterwork, just created years in advance. And I think a lot of these other people are just like these group thrill killer cult type things, like Santa Rosa, just this sadistic, just nasty kind of guys, like our buddy we talked about on here not too long ago, good old Frank. So I don't know. That one's just really, really weird. And then he sent some more about the Santa Rosa victims. But yeah, that definitely needs to be looked at a little more. But thanks again for sending that, Tony. And then I want to read this one, Tony. I'm sure you wouldn't mind. He's talking about the newspaper article again from Santa Rosa a while back, and the Zodiac "You Are in Deep Real Estate" ad that came out. And this says, it looks like we were too quick to dismiss the KKK, because it says the Deep Real Estate says, if you don't do this, you'll have to answer to the Grand Wizard or something like that. So it's like a KKK term. And Tony says, it looks like we were too quick to dismiss the KKK aspect of the Deep Real Estate ad. Sonoma County has deep-rooted ties to the KKK. In the 30s and 40s, it was ground zero for the KKK in California. I never knew that. That's interesting. It says, it looks like racial tensions are very high there even today. That's hard to fathom. I mean, up there in the wine country in California, and it's very liberal, and I don't know. It's really strange. Even though the at the height of the Ku Klux Klan, I think their most membership from one state was Indiana. So some of the SR murders look like they were done by a group of 3 or even 4 people. KKK meetings could explain how Manali, Anderson, Morin, and others, maybe even Lee Allen, could have met. I haven't found any evidence of Allen being involved. Richard Anderson is a key player. I can't find out any information about him yet, except that he supposedly committed suicide in 1979. It is likely he is the RA of the Deep Real Estate ad. Stephen Morin is as bad as any serial killer ever. If he teamed up with Anderson, I wouldn't be surprised if Anderson's death wasn't a suicide, but a murder to make it look like suicide. Man, that's good stuff, Tony. I wonder if Richard Grinnell's on. I went Richard Grinnell to look at some of that stuff. Of course, Richard Grinnell's a walking Zodiac killer encyclopedia, but I think he knows a lot about the Deep Real Estate ad, stuff like that. So hopefully he can do that. Brant, hope you're doing well, man. Hi, Drew. Would it be possible to find out Don Cheney had a credit card and used it to fill up for gas on the crimes when he wasn't living in Vallejo? Man, that'd be hard to get. That'd be hard to get, Brand. I'd love to, me. I would love to know. I don't know. I mean, he's so cunning. I think he'd probably even thought of that. I mean, like totally untraceable. starting at January 1st, like I talk about in the last Subscribe Star. It's just like, I give it to Tom Voigt. He at least totally pins down Cheney to New Year's Day of 1969 when Arthur Lee Allen downloaded all that story to him about being the Zodiac. And then, so he has to live with it now. And then Voigt gets to repeat that when he went over there, that Arthur Lee Allen shows him the Zodiac wristwatch and said, that he thought he got stiffed by his mom for Christmas. Well, that's just can't be true because Ron Allen said he got an identical watch a year earlier for Christmas with his brother. So it just shows you all that there. But yeah, that's a good point. I'd love to if there was any kind of credit card. I know the FBI can dig up that kind of stuff. That's how they found that Richard McCoy, the DB Cooper suspect, was in Las Vegas, near Las Vegas. No, I don't think McCoy was Cooper, but maybe he's down there trying to win some money. I don't know what he was doing, but yeah, I would love to know. Anywhere to track him would be valuable, of course. I mean, by credit card or anything. A speeding ticket, like when Arthur Lee Allen got the ticket in the city of San Francisco when the Pleasanton letter was mailed. That's interesting. The day that Arthur Lee Allen gets that ticket in San Francisco is the day that the Pleasanton letter was mailed, and most of those letters were being mailed from either dropped off or mailed in the city of San Francisco, except for the Pleasanton letter. The day that Arthur Lee Allen got pulled over in the city, that's interesting for sure. I think Voigt's got a video on that. It's definitely worth checking out. No, but I'm glad you brought that up. But definitely want to look more into the fortran thing. That is just huge. That is definitely on my mind. If those ciphers were built using fortran, I think it would have been, maybe that would explain why it took 51 years, 3 super smart guys to break that code, is because he had a computer to build it. I'm glad you're doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well. Not too bad at all. Staying away from getting COVID again. Did you see the video where the guy claims ALA raped his sister in the trailer? Weird, because I thought ALA was into young boys. He was into young boys. That's why he went to prison for one of the young boys was 13. The other one he got, there's a police record for was 12-year-old boy. Are you talking? You're probably talking about the Seawaters. We called him Mr. Allen. I'm assuming that. I didn't even listen to it all. They jumped the shark a long time ago. The Seawaters did. I'm sorry. When they talked about being in the car where Arthur Lee Allen was at Gaviota Beach and supposedly went and murdered Bobby Edwards and Linda Dominguez, and he came back into the car where the kids were waiting and he was covered in blood. I mean, does anybody really believe that? Come on. I mean, if that was all true, why didn't they come out with this stuff when the movie came out? I mean, that would have been a lot better. Maybe that's actually to their credit because it looked a little less obvious that they were trying to cash in on something. But I didn't hear that she said she was that. Maybe that's a different one. Maybe that's different. Maybe we're not talking about the Seawaters channel where this guy claims that ALA raped his sister in the trailer. I think he was I think he kind of grope girls too, but they weren't. They were a little, I know he spanked a lot of them supposedly when he was a teacher and was kind of that. I think that's when I think him being fired at Valley Springs was over a girl. So it's not all boys with him. So, it's definitely possible. Yeah, I definitely don't want to catch COVID again either, man. Don't want to go back down that road. So anybody that's still out there trying to battle the vid, I sympathize. So yeah, I just want to go back and check out everything everybody talked about. I want to definitely check into all these cases. The Amazon review guide, that's definitely up my alley. I could definitely see somebody murdering people over Amazon reviews, especially if you're a book writer, an indie publisher. And I'm definitely going to check out the 14 people that saw the animal getting sucked up by the UFO. I'm going to go dig for that for sure. And then I'm going to look into some of this Paulides claims too, but hope everybody has a good week. And I'll probably do something no later than Friday night. So everybody tune in again then. And I got to put the link in or look for it. It's on Paranormal Zone TV. I'm co-hosting a show with my friend Noreen, who has that channel, Paranormal Zone TV on YouTube. And she's going to have on an expert of the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. And that's going to be great. This guy wrote a book called Hopman's Ladder. about Bruno Hauptmann, the guy that got convicted of kidnapping Charles Lindbergh's young baby. So this is going to be good. I'll probably just be sitting there fascinated by this guy because I love that story about the Lindbergh baby, and I'm trying to seem smart about that if I ask this guy a couple questions. But that's going to be Thursday, this coming Thursday. I think it's 6, but I'll put it up on this channel when that comes on. So you don't want to miss that. That's going to be a really good show over on Paranormal Zone TV. So definitely check it out. Thanks for watching, everybody.